Today we're going to show you how to apply paintable wallpaper to your dresser drawers. You can purchase paintable wallpaper on Amazon. It ranges in price from about $20 to $50 depending on the style, and that's for a roll that's approximately 30 feet long. We already had 3 different rolls, each with a unique pattern. The first was very embossed with a Victorian antique style. The second, more modern with subtle geometric shapes. And the third was a very abstract design. We prefer buying the paintable wallpaper with the pre-glued backing. However, there are also peel and stick or self-pasting options. Roll number 2 was the lucky winner for this piece. Before we do anything to our wallpaper, we need to make sure that we've primed the drawers, since the flat finish helps the paper stick better to the drawer face. Then we're going to paint around the edges of the drawer in the main color of our dresser to ensure there's coverage at all the edges. To cut our paper, we started by measuring the drawers. We'd strongly recommend measuring each drawer, as these vintage pieces are not always made perfect and sometimes the length of the drawers can vary. We transferred the measurements to the paper. No need to worry about pencil or pen marks, since we'll be covering them when we paint the piece. We like to use a square to ensure that our lines are straight, but we also double check this by lining up with the section on the repeat pattern. As an example, for this line we knew we were going to be slicing at the bottom of the geometric flower. Here, 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 and here. Once we had it all lined up, we used an X-Acto knife to make a smooth cut. Then we cross-checked it against our drawer to make sure it fits snug to the edges. As you repeat this process for each of the drawers, you'll need to visualize the pattern. You'll need to decide whether you want a random, unique design on each drawer or whether you want them to be matching and consistent. For this piece, we chose a consistent pattern featuring the round shapes at the middle of each drawer. With the circle pattern in the center, we marked the cut for the top and the bottom of each piece. But because we're putting wood trim around the paper, we have a bit of leeway on measurements because that will cover the edges. But if you're not using trim, you need to be a bit more careful to make sure that you're marking out exact measurements. Once we cut the wallpaper to size for all of the drawers in a consistent pattern, it's time to apply. Follow the instructions that are specified for the product that you choose. As mentioned earlier, we chose a pre-glued paintable wallpaper, so all we need to do is soak it in water. We loosely rolled each strip and submerged it in a tray of room temperature water. Let it soak for 30 seconds. Slowly unroll and check to see that the paste is thoroughly saturated. You can see that the raised pattern on the front becomes darker. This is a good indication that the piece is wet enough. Once your piece is unrolled, you'll gently fold both ends. Make sure the paste side is in so that you can see the pattern on the outside. Try your best not to crease the center, as we don't want a line in the middle of our drawers. This process is known as booking, where you let the strip rest for a few minutes to allow the wallpaper to relax, and this actually activates the paste on the back of it, making it really sticky. Now it's time to apply your strip to the drawer. As you can see, it wiggles around really easily once the glue is activated, so no need to have it absolutely perfect as soon as you put it on. You can always move it to the right place. We recommend using a damp rag to smooth out the drawers, pushing from the center to the edges. This releases any air bubbles and also evens out the glue because sometimes it can clump underneath the wallpaper. This brand of wallpaper always has an excess amount of glue, which spews over the edges, so just be mindful that it can get a bit messy. Lastly, the strip might be a bit longer than your original measurements, and this is because the paper has relaxed, so you may need to trim the edges to get a better fit. We let the wallpaper dry for 24 hours before painting. This allows the adhesive to firm up so that there's no sliding when applying the paint, and it also reduces the occurrence of new air bubbles. We painted side to side with our first coat and up and down with our second coat to make sure all the nooks and crannies of the texturized pattern were covered. We're so happy with how this wallpaper turned out. It hid all the imperfections of the dresser, but also added a subtle, unique effect. Feel free to ask us any questions in the comments below.
See you next weekend!